Alright, how's it going? I've seen other people do this, and I've wanted to do this, so I went out a while ago. I mean, I was going to go out and take photos regardless, but I decided I'd shoot this video if anybody's interested in how I actually process my photos. Because I do shoot raw, and actually I just started, these particular ones are shot with the new Canon 90D that I purchased, which has the 32 or 33 megapixel APS-C size sensor compared to the Canon 80D I'm filming on now that has a 24 megapixel. So I guess I'll have to do a comparison at some point between the trying to take the two cameras and see if you can see an actual visible difference in the megapixel density and the sharpness. That might be a good one. But also, if you want to subscribe, I'm at 240-ish right now. If you want to subscribe, that'd be great. So let's get into this. Let me shrink myself here, relegate myself into the corner, and that should work. So I went out kind of near me here is because I've taken a shot similar to this before. I can't tell if it's kind of the same thing, but it's at different angles. But like the way this, when you're looking at this, like the sun's setting like behind you, but you're getting all the color and everything, and it's kind of like cotton candy clouds and like pinks and purples and peach and all that stuff. So we'll get into this. All right, so I know a ton of people, like if you watch YouTube, a ton of people use Lightroom. I think technically I have it, I just never use it. I shoot raw with the Canon, then I use Bridge to look at it. Then when I open the raw image, it opens to, let me pull this down a little bit. It opens to this like Camera Raw program. Then you go in, you edit the raw thing, then it'll open it into Photoshop itself. I'll delete that up. Then when it actually gets into Photoshop itself, I really don't do anything past that. I just do all the editing in the raw here. So usually one of the first things I do is go in and click these two to remove chromatic aberration and enable profile corrections, and that kind of fixes it a little bit. I got like the vivid thing just to give me kind of like a starting point. Then I'll go into here and I'll go through the different color profiles and the white balances. Temperature and tint if I need to. I'd say about 85% of the time I don't usually, after I pick a white balance, I don't have to. But if there's something like that looks off of that, I will. Then we'll go through and mess with all this. So I usually, landscape is usually, because you can see the difference where the landscape makes it kind of like very poppy. It usually makes the blues very blue. So we'll try that for now. We'll look at Ash Shot. Auto, that's very green. Daylight, nope. Cloudy, kinda. Shade. So if you look here, cloudy 6500 on the Calvin, then it's plus 10 on the purple tint. Let's go. Ash Shot is almost identical. So usually when I'm shooting photos, I have it raw, but I keep it auto white balance, because you shoot raw, you can come back and mess with that white balance later. So it's not something you have to worry about necessarily in camera with the changing conditions. We've been going between, you know, sunny and shade and daylight and all that other stuff. So I want to say Ash Shot or cloudy. We'll go with Ash Shot. Then usually I'm experimenting with the new Canon D because it's a little bit different than 80D, but usually since it's a digital sensor, I'll shoot it if there's a lot of like a lot of brights and darks. If it's kind of all the same, you'll meter it into the center. But if there's like a lot of brights and a lot of darks, I'll usually try to expose more for the highlights. So it'll look dark when you shoot raw. But when you go in and edit it, you can like bring up the shadows and stuff. Because on the digital sensor, you expose for the highlights, because once they're gone, and you can bring up the shadows. And I guess with film, you'd have to expose for it was like the opposite. Because I've shot some film in school, but what I heard was you expose for the shadows, because once they're gone, they're gone. And you can bring back the highlights. But most people are shooting digital anyway. So it's the other way, like expose for the highlights. Like kind of expose for the sky and all this stuff. Then all these shadows and stuff you can bring back up. Obviously, you don't want to do it too much, because if you try to bring it back up, you'll introduce quite a bit of noise. But I was shooting at ISO 400, so it shouldn't be terrible. With the 80D, like I said, I'm trying with the 90D now, but with the 80D, I wouldn't really push it past 800 ISO if I didn't need to. Sometimes 1000, but I usually try to keep it around 4. I'll bring up the exposure a little bit here. I usually always bring it up about half a stop anyway. Then we'll contrast, we'll leave it like that. Highlights. See, something like this, I usually you can bring the highlights like, because you see how that's blown out. Then that brings some of that back. Shadows, we'll see here. Well, I don't want to. I'll do like 50. See how that looks. Whites. You just play with it. I know a lot of people actually like sliding with the slider, but I like using the buttons. And with the shift, you can do jumps at 10. Otherwise, you're doing like by 1. But if you hit the shift, at least Photoshop I'm using, you can kind of make pretty big jumps. Then really I just go through everything and keep messing with it until I like it a little bit contrasty, because I know some people like to make it like super contrasty and like pop and stuff, and it's their own thing. But I want to kind of get it a little, I'm trying to get it as much as I can the way I actually saw it with my eyes, and try to like replicate that digitally. Because when you shoot it raw, everything is kind of like grayed out and flat and stuff. Because you look like this, like that's the raw image, and this is the edit so far. You see where it's kind of like moving in and out. That's the is the profile corrections for the lens. Then it'd tell you what lens and everything too. So where was that? In the whites? Well, usually you can bring down the highlights and bring down the whites, and you get more of, if you have like a lot of like landscape sky stuff, usually you bring that down a lot and then bring up the shadows and black some, and try to make the image more of an even instead of it being so different. But then when you do that, you usually have to up the exposure too. And we'll just play around with the blacks are fine, just like that. I usually do up 10 on texture, up 10 on clarity, up 10 on dehaze, up 10 on vibrance. Vivid is a good starting point, but it's almost too, like it's too poppy, too contrasty for me. The saturation, I'll keep it at 10. You'll go in and I'll play with the I used to do strong contrast all the time. But like I said, it's a little too, it crushes the blacks and the darks so much. Which if that's something you want to go for, you can. But also then I was like doing stuff just on my old laptop. And now I have a new laptop, and I bought an LG monitor that has like a really good color calibration. So I think that's part of the issue too, is I can like better see the actual representation of colors on this screen. So, and it just medium, I've been doing more medium if I need to, because you can look at it with here like linear, there's like more detail, but medium kind of like, it almost looks, when you go between the two, linear, it has more detail, but it looks a little grayish compared to the medium, which makes stuff kind of like pop a little bit more. So it's a lot of times I do medium, but if it's too much, depending on the picture, I'll go in and I'll do it linear. But I might do medium. And I could technically do this contrast down, or just up one, and then kind of mess. See, that's at the shot exposure, so we don't want that. Now that was. And it's just going back and fiddling back and forth and getting it the way that you like it. Of course, different people are going to have different styles. Then that's the raw, and that's the what I have processed so far. You can also go through, I think it was, or the Q, pull these up side by side, then split in half, then that way, that way. But if you press P, I'm using the Windows, you can just cycle in between the two. I don't know. I mean, if you really want to, I do it ever so often. You can go through and mess with like the hue and the saturation, the luminance. If I'm really wanting to do certain things with the clouds, that's usually the way I'll do it. If there's like a lot of blues and a lot of like dark, maybe not dark, but like bright oranges, I do every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, I'll mess with it. But most of the time I'll just try to get it, like I was saying, try to get it as, you know, the way I remember it looking. I'm still not, let me, I don't want it all the way up. But it's really just like just playing with it. Then I have noticed a thing too, like when you have it like this, I'll save the full Photoshop file. Then I'll save it as a JPEG for like web and Instagram, and I usually save it where it's around 1.5 megabytes, somewhere about in there. And I'll put it on my phone. But I have been noticing lately, especially something that's more colorful and poppy, like when I have it on my phone, like I have it going to put on Instagram, when I go to the next screen to start writing the text, it'll convert it to their color profile, which is different, and it'll like kind of dull the colors down, which kind of sucks. I don't know if anybody else has actually noticed that. Maybe I'll kind of do a quick recording. Maybe I'll just go through and I'll edit this and I'll do a screen recording of me also doing the phone and see if I can show you. I don't know. We'll see whether I do that or not. I think this is good. And there we go. Another thing to note is too, with because I'm sure a lot of people are doing this and like they're showing it on Instagram and stuff. If you're doing horizontal, it's fine, but when you're doing vertical, the most Instagram, well, let me save this. I usually just do it as edits, as a Photoshop file. The one thing that Instagram does is it'll make a vertical one, it'll make it 4x5. So either you got to crop off the top and the bottom, or something you could do too, which I do depending on the picture, is to crop it that way and then have you like little bars on the side. That's your personal preference. Whether you want it to be like this, or you want it to be where it is cropped like that. But that's just personal preference. It really depends on the photo for me. Most of the time I'll put the white bars on the side just because I like, when I take a photo of something, like I'm looking at that composition and that's what I want. So it may annoy some people, but I just throw some white bars on the side. when you're looking on your phone, a lot of time it doesn't necessarily matter. But with this one, because I was going between this one and another one that was similar but is more like zoomed in, so I chose this one because I may do 4x5, and this one may actually cut off the top because it's kind of a little bit of dead space up here. And I can cut off the bottom here a little bit too, and it'd be fine. But you can play around with it. It's up to you. So let me, if you want to, you can do both. Try them out. But I may, there's, all this is personal preference. So I'm just showing you what I do. I was starting to say I do like a lot of like almost, it's not dead, it's almost dead space in the foreground where it gives you like this kind of visual representation of like giving you distance between the subject, like a lot of pavement or something like that, where there's like a certain distance where it's like almost like emotional, like kind of keep away thing. I also like I like shooting a lot of landscape, but I like shooting it on the telephoto end where there's like a lot of background compression too. Because I know people when they think landscape, they usually think, you know, super wide. I mean, I have like a super wide lens, but I've been using the 18 to 135 kit lens for the Canon. I'm thinking about getting a 70 to 200 and shoot even more further. So there's like a lot more stuff. It's like it's landscape technically, but I'm always like zooming in stuff, and it's compressing different elements and stuff too. But that's, we'll give this a try. By 5. Like I said, I'll save one of these as web for Insta, and I'll make that a JPEG. And like I was saying here, see if I do it at full maximum, it's like 20 megabytes. Is that what it is? But usually for the web, I'll put it at between 1.5 to 2, so like 1.6. I mean, I could push it to 2. I mean, I could do it more if I want to, but just, I mean, most people's viewing it on their phone, so yeah, we'll do a good 2 for now. All right, I'll probably use this as my plug to follow my Instagram here, like christopherraypack photo. Been doing a ton of landscape and street photography stuff, but I've also been trying to get into more portrait photography. I was actually down in North Carolina, Greensboro, with a buddy doing some portrait photography and some video on top of a there's like an 8-story tall like parking deck. Those parking garages, like if you get on the top level, those things, like photo shoots, rap videos, music videos, like that's the place. I'm telling you, that's the place. But let's add this. We'll hit next. Then I don't know how well it's going to translate on here. But it's like it's very vibrant right now. Then you hit next and it like just kind of all dulls out a little bit. So I don't know what is going on with that. I don't know if I really want to like mess with editing in Instagram either. Most people will never know about it. So I mean, you can, it's up to you. So we'll hit next. And of course we'll put in all the hashtags and all that good stuff, and we'll get it going. Actually, might as well do that now. I might speed this up. I don't know, like house at sunset? Something like that. photo. We'll do photography. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know how to do hashtags on Instagram. If not, I guess leave a comment and I'll make a whole separate video on that if anybody's interested. Like trying to really get the most bang for your buck out of each post with hashtags. Then also I'll show you on this too. I've been recently, when you go into stories, you can put like a hashtag on your story and put a location as well. And I've gotten views from the location part. People, it like puts up, it puts up your story and lets people like that view your story. But also, if you put the location, it'll have like a certain location will have its own separate story, like outside of your story. If that makes any sense. Landscape photography. We'll do sunset. Let's do golden hour, blue hour. We'll do cotton candy sky. Seen that? Cotton candy sky. Gonna do like tree, power lines. Tree, power lines. Let's see what else. You just gotta look at your photo and kind of think. I mean, I could do purple, orange, peach. You know, sky, skyscape, sky, skyline, skyscape, skyline, skyscape. We can do Columbus, Ohio. Like I said, I shot this with the... I did for a while put what camera I was using, then for a while I was like, it doesn't matter what camera you're using, just use whatever you got. Then I kind of started putting in Canon 90D just because I bought it recently, just kind of certain things. Maybe throw like stop sign in there. Stop sign. Get a good little paragraph going. Then actually you can copy this, copy that, then take that same photo and you put it over to Twitter and you just paste it so you don't have to like retype everything. And we'll do Columbus, Ohio. Share it to my Facebook page. I have a photo page, christopherraypack photo, if you want to check that out as well. Twitter, Tumblr. I have a Tumblr. I almost never look at it. I just share to it. Then we'll hit share. Then we got that there. I'm kind of getting a few things off the bat. Then we'll go in and do the stories like I was talking about. And we'll take the original one. And like I said, you hit... No, that's not what I want to do. You hit this little kind of like square thing up here. We do a hashtag. I can do... Let's try cotton candy skies. Cotton candy sky. I'll put that up here. I actually kind of shrink it a little bit too. Also put in location, put Columbus. Shrink that one a little bit. Not in the middle. Something like that. Then if you take a photo of somebody, you can actually put them in a mention, and they'll mention them, and they'll get like a little notification. But I'm not doing a person, so. And then we'll just hit at the bottom. That you'll see where it's like you can have your Facebook. It needs to be an actual like business page, not your personal page. But you can have it linked with your Instagram. So when you send out the story, you'll send it out simultaneously to your Instagram story and your Facebook page story as well. So we'll hit that. And it's sent. And we got a couple of people hitting that up. But yeah, I'll let that. If you have any questions about any of that, just drop me a comment about either the Instagram aspect of it or the editing aspect of it as well. But if you like this, you can give me a like. If you really liked it, you can subscribe. I'm trying to hit the 1,000 subscriber mark on here. I'm contemplating making an entirely separate channel. I'd probably do maybe, I don't know if I'd upload it separately or do like double uploads. I may just have it as like a, I thought about making like a Christopher Pack photography like YouTube channel and just have straight demo reel type things on there. I don't know yet. I'm just kind of playing with it because I have like a wedding video I'm going to edit as well. And I want kind of like its own little, may make my own like certain website too, then have, because you want video on there, maybe like a front page will show up or whatever. But it's just I'm thinking on it. But give it a like, really like it, you can subscribe. I have it like I have a Patreon if you want to check that out. It's probably up on the end screen somewhere right now. But yeah. All right. Peace.